Hello and welcome to My Living Room. I'm Kathleen Hershner. If you've watched the first season of My Living Room or you've listened to my radio program on Vaughn Radio called On the Rise over the past few years, you've no doubt heard me talk a lot about my career choices in life and some of the interesting jobs I've had, some of the jobs that weren't so interesting, and some of my career mistakes, because it's kind of fun to talk about one's mistakes, at least if you do it in a learning experience context. And one of the best decisions I ever made was to work for Pfizer in the United States, Pfizer Pharmaceutical. And so when I saw an email from the man who's in the studio with me today, who actually works for Pfizer in Madrid, I thought, wow, this will give me yet another opportunity to talk about my time with Pfizer. So Efren Olivares, welcome to My Living Room.
Thanks for having me, Kathleen. It's great.
Well, it's nice to meet you. You did send me a message via Facebook, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
And said that you've been working here for, what, a couple years?
Correct, about 2 years.
And I thought, well, that'd be kind of fun to talk shop, as we say. Although, we're not going to talk about Pfizer that much because you have an interesting background aside from your work.
I hope so.
Well, yeah. We all hope to have, like, lives outside of our job.
That's right.
But you came here, you told me a couple years ago.
Yes.
From Pfizer, you were working in France, I think.
Correct.
Before.
That's right.
But you're not Spanish.
No.
Or French.
No, that's right. So it's been a lot of moves. I started out born and raised in Mexico City.
Wow.
Yeah.
The biggest city in the world still?
Yes.
Is it? Yeah.
Yes, apparently so.
In terms of population?
And of course, I saw it grow all those years. It wasn't that enormous. Wow. And then we saw it go, wow.
Wow.
What used to be, I remember living in a house that was almost suburban, wound up being completely urban.
Really?
There was nothing behind our house, and then suddenly you've got sprawling cities and malls.
It's kind of depressing when that happens. I mean, yes. I suppose in some ways it's good, especially if you still own that property.
Still there.
Because then now the value has probably increased a bit. But I grew up in a smallish town, and the countryside in Topeka used to be 5 minutes from my house by bicycle.
Oh, yeah.
And now it would take you 15 or 20 minutes
wow.
to get to the same place. But at any rate, you did capture my attention when I saw that you worked for Pfizer. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But I was in the animal health division. I was
yes.
a sales representative, and
yeah.
I sold to veterinarians, but you work in the human
That's right.
side of things.
That's right. Yeah, so no, I was born and raised in Mexico, went up to the U.S., went to school in Philadelphia, and my first job out of school was actually as a pharmaceutical sales rep at the time with Eli Lilly. But I really enjoyed it, the contact with doctors yeah. and talking about products that are more scientific and clinical, and it's quite kind of a nice challenge.
It is, and especially if you don't study science in school. I didn't study life sciences
right.
or animal
right.
sciences,
yeah.
but a company like Lilly or Pfizer, these large, very mature pharmaceutical corporations, they are willing to teach you
yes.
how to talk about things that you may not know anything about.
That's right.
What did you study when you were in school in Philadelphia?
I had studied kind of a combination of economics and business, mm-hmm. combined with a lot of liberal arts classes.
Yeah, but you didn't take life science courses.
No.
But you're able to learn it.
No, that's right.
Isn't that fun when you're a sales rep and you're sitting in front of a doctor, in front of in my case, a veterinarian, and you sort of have this out-of-body experience when all of a sudden you're talking about something in a very scientific and eloquent way.
Yes.
Well, maybe not eloquent, but competent way.
Yes.
And you're sitting there going, wow, I can't believe I'm talking about coccidiosis in broiler chickens to a poultry vet for Foster Farms.
I love it.
And did you have that experience?
Yes, yes.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah, you gradually acquire all this knowledge, and then you realize that it's stuff that for friends or family members would be completely foreign.
And you sound really intelligent when you're talking about it.
No, you're really speaking a medical language.
Well, when you're away from it, I've been out of that industry for about 8 years. It's amazing how quickly you forget it. Like, I can't remember any of the terminology. I mean, I understand, I can remember the concepts behind parasitology, but I can't remember
yes.
the things
yeah.
that I used to talk about. You work in marketing. So starting out in sales is perfect because salespeople and marketing people often have to work closely together.
That's right.
And sometimes they're not always on the same page.
Absolutely.
If you know what I mean.
No, it's critical for them to work together, but you're right.
Sometimes they clash.
That's right.
The salespeople feel that the marketing people are forcing the salespeople to sell or to use a marketing campaign that doesn't work for their clients.
That's
The
right.
marketing people are frustrated because the salespeople seem like such renegades, do whatever they want.
That's right.
Don't take direction very well.
That's exactly
You know,
right. Oh, absolutely.
I've been down this road many
Yes.
times.
Yes, and well, and sales reps, of course, yes, they're in front of the customers, so you want to hear them and know what they need.
They like to talk as well.
But at the same time, it's been very fun to watch them sometimes come into headquarters and see how you develop promotional materials, and
Right.
they suddenly realize the regulations around them and go, oh, I didn't realize you had to sit for hours and negotiate just a couple of promotional claims.
Exactly. Well, they become more sympathetic to the demands that are placed on the marketing people.
That's right.
The two can't exist without each other.
No,
So
of
they really,
course.
I mean, obviously you can't market a product if you don't have anybody to sell it.
No,
And you can't sell
absolutely.
something that you don't have a marketing strategy for.
That's right, yeah.
Now, you mentioned something that captured my interest just now. You worked for Eli Lilly
Yes,
first.
that's right.
And I believe I went to an interview during the time I was working for Pfizer with Eli Lilly in Indianapolis.
Yeah, sure.
Do they have a big plant there? I
Yeah,
they have
well,
a-
that's their world headquarters.
It is?
Yeah, sure.
They flew me to Indianapolis because I wanted to explore other opportunities. And I don't know anything about Lilly, but I remember I had the weirdest interview of my entire life with a woman from Eli Lilly. I think I've told this story on TV before. But I'm going to tell it to you, and I
Yeah,
want to
please
get your
do.
opinion.
Yes.
All right. Now, most people who are watching have heard of Eli Lilly, but they may not know that Eli Lilly's main product was Prozac.
Yes,
I mean,
sure.
that was the cash
Yes.
cow, put them on, they were already on the map, but it
That
took off.
was famous,
Okay.
yes.
So it was about during that time that I went to interview for Eli Lilly. So I go to Indianapolis, they put me in a hotel for the night, which was, you know, you feel special.
That's right.
And then I went to meet with 4 people. I had to meet 4 different managers, and I did really well. I was thinking, all right, I know it's competitive, but the first, second, and third interviews went really well. Last interview of the day, I go into this little room, and there's a woman. The other 3 had been men. Now, I don't get along as well with women, and so when I saw it was a woman, I was like, this is gonna, it's gonna be a little tricky. And so we sat down, and she was being kind of very businessy with me, and my personality is a little bit more loose. I'm not kidding. Here's what she did during the interview. We're talking, having a normal interview. Do you know what I'm going to do?
No, I don't.
Okay. I'm going to imitate it. Camera, you're going to have to catch this. All right? There was a table, and she started like this with her leg, and started like nervous but really forceful, and started hitting the table. And I thought, what the? I thought she had Tourette's or epilepsy, or I was
Yeah.
having a fit.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do. And it was the weirdest thing that's ever happened, and I just pretended that it was normal. And I just kept talking to her. I thought, well, she's having a problem. And then later, I thought maybe they were testing me.
Yeah, like how you would maybe behave under a situation like that.
Exactly. I didn't pass, clearly, because they didn't ever call me again. So what would have been the right thing to do, Efren? What would you have done? It was really bizarre.
Yeah,
I
no.
hated that woman. I left the interview hating. I hated her. I was like, that woman, you're crazy.
Well, I suppose what I would do is probably just ask her if she's okay and, you know, is she comfortable with the interview? Something just, because that almost shows discomfort, right? Anxiety or something. So I suppose that would be my nature.
I think that I failed because I didn't have the composure at that age. I was 30 or something, to stop and say, is everything okay? I ignored it, and I suppose that may have made me seem like I wasn't very empathetic or sensitive.
Yeah, that's
Isn't
an
that weird,
interesting
though?
one. Yes.
Nothing against Lilly, fine
No,
company, but
no.
that was, I'll never forget that interview.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of funny interviews we go through, huh?
Salespeople are famous for interviewing a lot. We have a lot of different
Yes.
job opportunities.
Well, and what's funny is that, you know, when I was leaving college and a lot of these various companies and accounting firms and ad agencies and everyone came on campus, it's funny, I'll never forget my senior year going on 52 different interviews for different companies.
You went on 52 interviews in a year. That's great. So you always remember that number.
Well,
52.
that is
52
funny that
weeks.
I guess it got ingrained
52
in my
weeks
head.
in
It
a
was
year?
52.
I had 1 interview a week.
And no, but of course at that time, you kind of probably said that, you know, oh, absolutely, I've always wanted to be in banking. And then the next week, you're like, pharmaceutical sounds fascinating.
Well, that's what you do in a job interview, though. My mom said,
you need a job.
you take every job interview as though your goal is to get the offer.
Yes.
So you do whatever you have to do
Yes.
to get the offer. Then you
Yeah.
can decide whether you want the job. I remember once I interviewed, I mean, I worked in sales in so many different industries, crazy variety. I was interviewing to sell electric toothbrushes
Oh,
for Oral-B,
yeah,
big
sure.
manufacturer of tooth products. And during the interview that was in, I think it was in San Francisco, I just developed an acute fascination for all things electric toothbrush. And I thought, I wonder if the guy interviewing me thinks I'm full of baloney. Because I was like, oh no, I've just always been so interested in cleaning my teeth with electric toothbrush.
No, I know. No, I went on an interview where the question, you know, it was actually with one of the really big food manufacturers.
Yeah.
And they would give you almost like little case study questions, like how would you go about doing market research for, you know, our pet food if the new can is, you know, a flip top instead of needing a can opener, and it's almost like a, you know, tell us how you would go about that.
Well, they want to see how you think. They want to see how your mind works.
But then when you leave, you're like, I was talking about a pet food can. I don't think I can do this.
You know,
it just doesn't make me tick.
I mean, anybody who's been in sales can relate to what we're talking about. For those people who have never been a sales rep, you just can't imagine the lunacy at times of this kind of work. I mean, I remember once I went to interview for, you'll like this, for a company that manufactured morphine, injectable morphine, like that they use in hospitals. They didn't manufacture morphine.
Yeah.
But they manufactured the delivery system for morphine.
Sure.
And so I knew this, and I was kind of intrigued with the idea of selling morphine. And so I went to this
Yeah. It's
samples.
about the most powerful painkiller that exists.
And I don't think most people ever get to have any, but
no.
I remember going to this interview in a hotel in San Francisco, and when I walked in the room, they had all of the syringes lined up, and they showed the different, you know, obviously a product sampling.
Yes.
And I walked in, I was like, wow, I didn't know anything about medical stuff for humans. And there were two men in the room, and I, you know, fine, whatever. And it was in one of those hotel rooms that's sort of like a suite.
Yes, that's right.
So maybe maybe they were staying in the hotel, but they used the.
Absolutely.
You know,
I've done that. Yeah.
I think
so that there isn't a bed right there.
Wouldn't that be uncomfortable?
The interview.
Hey, well, Kathleen, why don't you just sit down and make yourself comfortable? Okay, gentlemen.
That wouldn't work.
No, I think there's a law against that.
I think so.
So I go in, and you know, so it's a normal like room setup, and normally when you interview with people, like if you had people into your home, you'd position yourself in a way so that you could talk to both people at the same time. Because I think that's normal human behavior. Like if I had another guest, they're going to sit next to you, not sit over here, so that I'd have to do. That doesn't make sense, right?
No.
But in interviews, people do weird stuff to see how you're going to think.
Yes.
So I walked in the room, and these two guys went like that. One went to one side of the room, and the other one went to the other side of the room.
My.
And I remember thinking, what in the world are you doing? And so, again, I made the mistake of not dealing with it. I should have said, gentlemen, this is making me stressed. Can we maybe sit together? So instead, I spent the whole interview going like this.
Like a tennis match.
I talked to the one guy. Hold on a second. Hold on. Yes. No. And I'm sure.
That's funny.
But why do they try to make life so difficult for salespeople? It's so mean.
There are some interesting interviewing tactics.
Well, let's get off of this.
Okay.
I didn't need to talk about this so much, but let me ask you some questions about yourself. It's been like the All About Me show.
No, it's interesting.
So, you've been here a couple years.
Yes.
And when you first got to the office for Pfizer in Madrid, you'd come from the office in Paris.
That's right.
And was there a big adjustment for you in terms of your lifestyle or your habits or the office environment for you to make?
You know, to be honest with you, the arrival to Madrid was very easy for me because what was tough was the arrival in France. I didn't speak French at the time.
Really?
I had been in Pfizer New York for 11 years. And so really the toughest thing had been arriving in France without French.
Wow. You're a brave man.
Yeah, it was the arrival in Spain, then that was like a piece of cake, as we say, because it was like, I speak the language, these people are wonderful, very friendly, it was a breeze.
A bit warm, maybe Spaniards are a bit warmer than Parisians, Madrileños?
Yeah, I think it's a very different kind of approach to human relations. You know, I think the French are very deep and sophisticated, but they're not as kind of superficially friendly,
I think you're right. I think Madrileños have a joie de vivre.
Yes.
Using a French term to describe Spaniards, I love that, the irony. But they do have a certain sense of the joy of living.
Oh, yes, very much so.
And they're very social.
They're happy.
Do you miss anything from living in Paris? That sounds like it might have been exciting.
Yeah, I mean, the things about Paris that are amazing are the incredible number of little shops that are specialty stores. You know, you've got these
boutiques.
Amazing chocolate places or amazing butchers or all this, everything is very exquisite and very perfect. And the quality of things is very, very high.
Yeah.
And I mean, the actual city is pretty unbelievable. You know, just visually and to walk around and be there is a beautiful place.
It's certainly one of the top 5 most beautiful cities in the world, without question.
That's right.
Did you live in the city when you were there?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Ooh la la!
No, that's right.
Magnifique!
Oui, oui.
So that's the extent of my French.
I took about 1 year of French, and it's probably not much better than yours.
Yeah. Well, you probably learned enough to at least survive in a meeting.
No, that's right.
You know.
No, but I have to admit, I mean, one of the pluses was living, you know, blocks away from the Seine. On the weekends, they close up the road that runs along the river, and bike riding, and it's really amazing, the views. And
I remember doing that with my brother when I went to the Paris Air Show a couple of years ago, and I remember that on the weekend we rented bicycles and rode along. It was really fun.
It's an easy city to be on a bike on. Madrid's a little bit tougher with bikes.
Well, I had a bicycle in Madrid for 2 years, and I rode to work. But I didn't. The office that I was going to, the radio station, was not in a super busy part of town.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't have any accidents. I did have an altercation with a taxi driver.
Oh.
He tried to cut me off, and of course I'm an American, which means American woman. I don't know. Our stereotype is to be a little bit with big cojones, I guess. And he tried to cut me off. I got mad, so I pulled my bike in front of his car.
In front?
Yeah, and I just got off the bike and stood in front of his car, and I swore at him.
Wow.
Which I can't do here on TV. But I have a creative vocabulary.
We can picture.
And I think he probably got the idea.
Yes.
And he said a few things to me as well. And then I went, well, same to you, and same to you. And then it was kind of fun, though. So tell me a little bit about I know you can't share any state secrets of what goes on behind closed doors at Pfizer, but I suppose that there are some new product lines that are coming out. I remember when I worked for the Animal Health Division, we introduced a new revolutionary product into the marketplace. It was all very secret and hush-hush, couldn't talk about it. And it was kind of fun. They call that a product rollout. Do they still use that term?
Yeah, very much so.
A lot of planning goes into it. I mean, like years and years and millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yes.
And then the salespeople have a lot of pressure on them to make sure that the market accepts this new product.
No, that's true.
And I think during the time I worked for Pfizer, that was when they had Viagra.
Yes.
And our stock price skyrocketed overnight. And I should have sold some of my stock, but I didn't. And then it leveled out pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly my mistake.
Yeah. So I still have a lot of stock, but I sure wish I had sold some of it. It went from like 30 to 72
really quickly.
Like overnight.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What are some exciting things that you can talk about that are going on with?
Well, you know, I mean, the good news is some of these areas are public. Some areas that are really important to us are, you know, cancer is an important part of Pfizer these days, so that's an important direction.
It was when I was working there too. Yeah.
Yes.
Even cancer in dogs was something that we had not Ritalin. Ritalin's for kids. It started with an R. It was for dogs that were arthritic and prone to cancerous tumors. Anyway.
Yeah, well, Certainly, there's also a lot of medicines in pain. You know, that's a big area of focus as well. When you actually think about it, pain is still extremely problematic. Pain that's really acute.
And chronic pain.
It's the chronic pain that's really not always taken care of very well. So those are really big areas of unmet need.
Do you think it's because, Efren, there seems to be more, the demand from the public is to have like a cure for cancer, or a cure for AIDS, or a cure for diabetes, and they overlook something that's probably more prevalent and more insidious, which is chronic pain? Because I have a friend who suffers from chronic pain, and it's called terminal neuralgia. You ever heard of this?
Well,
it's a nerve-ending pain in the head, and it actually has the highest incidence of suicide of any pain, because people just can't live with it.
Incredible. Yeah, no.
It's not that the terminal neuralgia kills them, it's that they can't live with it, and they end up killing
the quality
themselves.
of life is just awful, and they suffer every day.
What are some of the, is there an exciting new advancement in the area of chronic pain that Pfizer is, it's one of the things you can't talk about. I knew it. I knew I'd end up luring you there. It's all right. I'll let you off the hook.
Okay.
But the company's doing well, eh?
Yeah.
I hope so, because I have a lot of stock, and I hope that it's doing well.
No, I mean, we're certainly excited about the future. Yeah. There's, you know, that we acquired Wyeth recently, so.
I do, and I think that's what made Pfizer the biggest, aren't we? Isn't it the biggest?
Yes, that's right.
Pharma overall in the world?
Yeah, I mean, it had been, and now it's even bigger.
Is that a good thing? I mean, do the stockholders worry about Pfizer becoming too big, or is there really no downside to that?
I mean, they certainly do raise those questions.
Yeah.
Is bigger better?
Yeah.
Can you get so big that then things may not work as well? We'd like to think that when you're bigger, you still do have more resources, more medicines, more good people, all this kind of thing.
Well, you have maybe more opportunity to develop things if you have more money or more funding.
Right.
I miss the business a bit. It's the only job that I've had other than what I'm doing here in Madrid, the only job that I've really, really liked and that I missed a lot when I wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
They treated me really well. There was a downsizing that occurred, which affects salespeople, and I was part of that. They acquired another company. They had too many sales reps. They had to sort of decide who to leave, who to let go, and who to keep. My expertise was not in an area that was really that interesting for them. And it was kind of heartbreaking.
Yes.
Remember, it really changed my life. I'm glad that it happened because it made me do new things.
No, of course.
But it was really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
For about 3 months.
No, sure.
Yeah.
No, there's been a lot of change over time in a lot of these companies. You know, there's been a lot of consolidations, acquisitions, all sorts of
Well, it's not necessarily a bad thing, I suppose.
No.
It leads to other things. Well, I didn't get a chance to ask you much outside of work or tell anecdotes. We're almost to the end of our time together. We have about a minute left. Is there anything you want to say that you haven't had a chance to say?
No, I mean, just to thank you for having me on the program. It was so, when I heard that you had worked at Pfizer at one point, I was like, I need to write to her. She's from the U.S., she lives in Madrid, worked for Pfizer, we've got some things in common.
I'm so glad you did, because this is the first opportunity I've had this season to talk about my little career exploits, mishaps, and positive things as well. And I hope we can keep in touch. I'd love to come out and visit you at the offices, which I've been to before.
Yes, would be great.
And walk around and say, hey, I used to work for Pfizer.
That's right.
Efren, it's been a delight talking to you.
Oh, likewise.
You have a great sense of humor as well.
Good, I'm glad.
Efren Olivares, here in my living room. If there's a season 3, you're coming back.
Great.
And then we'll talk more about other things.
I'd be happy to.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode here in English in my living room. I'll have more interesting people to talk to you in another program very soon. So thanks for tuning in today. Adios, amigos and amigas. Have a great day. Bye-bye.